and we'll see what happens. Listen, if Islam may retire.
I can feel him.
He may retire. He's done a lot. He's competed in 2 different weight classes and won world championships in 2 different weight classes. If he beats Ian, if he submits Ian and says, I've had enough, I'm going to do what Khabib did, and I'm going to coach now, I could see that. And then I could see Morales protest for the fucking undisputed title.
Yeah.
You'd see them at the track in the mornings. They would just jog, but then there was little stations where you do sit-ups and push-ups. They would do those, and they would do it for 2-3 miles, and they'd come to the gym at noon and they'd do their workout, sometimes hard, sometimes not. But they were always training, always working, and that's what separates them. They're not out at the club until 2-3 in the morning, then trying to recover the next day. They're not drinking, they're not smoking, they're not doing...
The no drinking is huge. Huge. If there's one thing that fucks fighters up more than anything, it's partying.
Oh, yeah.
Drinking especially, I guess Coke, but I don't have a lot of experience with guys that I knew that were doing Coke, but I have a lot of experience with guys that were drinkers. And you would see them in the morning on, like, they would go out Saturday night, Sunday they'd be fucked up, they show up Monday to train, and they just looked like shit.
Yeah.
Because they had been partying too hard just 2 days ago. And you don't think that that's going to make a big difference, but if you're getting drunk on Saturday night, that's days before you're back to baseline.
Yeah.
Days.
That's right.
You know, and you can get away with it when you're 23.
Yeah.
A little bit, kind of. But are you? Because you're probably not as good as you would have been. And then maybe you're going to get hit with some shots that you wouldn't have get hit with, or you've been going to get tapped when you wouldn't have got tapped.
Yeah.
So yeah, but and then you take a look. That's the big difference. And you go back and look at Khabib's career. Go back and look at his first fight in the UFC and look at how bad. And I'm serious, how bad his stand-up was.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't the best.
Oh no, it was probably the worst. Okay, it was.
I don't think it was the worst.
It was bad.
He did a lot of crazy shit. Yeah.
But take a look at it.
Those were his setups.
When he was at the end.
Oh yeah.
It was tight. He always was improving.
Oh, he was dangerous.
Everything.
Remember, he dropped Connor.
Throughout.
He cracked Connor. You know, with a big right hand, which was like.
What about Islam Makhachev? He's getting a little bit older now, but he's still in his prime. He's definitely still in his prime, and yeah, I think it's a tough fight. I do think it's a tough fight for both guys, but I can't think at any point that Islam is going to lose.
You've said this before, though, on many predictions. So we'll have to see.
Mate, I don't get my predictions right.
But the only loss that Ian Garry has had is against Shavkat, which is quite interesting in that aspect, because remembering that fight, Shavkat basically won on decision, but he took the first few rounds, he got onto the front foot. Yeah. And Ian Garry didn't know what to do with that. Is that a case of, that's my only worry, is that obviously if Islam starts to do that, and obviously it's going to go to 5 rounds, surely from a decision perspective, Islam is always going to be favoured.
Right, I think when you're fighting a guy who's got such a heavy grappling style, you're automatically like defensive of that, which means like you're going to start going backwards. I would like to see Ian Garry get on the front foot with him. Not always on the front foot, but, you know, intermittently going on the front foot with him, pushing him backwards sometimes, landing some heavy strikes, keeping it long and stuff like that, rather than expecting the takedown and the tie up constantly, which, mate, easier said than done.
And obviously Islam's only loss was a bit of a freak one.
Yeah.
Could we see something like that potentially?
Yeah, it's MMA. It's MMA, isn't it? You can always see someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. There's only 2 guys there. These are the 2 best guys in welterweight division in the whole sport. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either way. If Ian knocks him out, I wouldn't be that surprised. But I just think Islam Makhachev's very, very, very good. But so is Ian Garry, so we don't know. It's interesting.
Like, Islam's doing a good job of recognizing when he's going southpaw and orthodox and using the weapons against him. Nice southpaw.
Jack trying to find a rhythm, and he hasn't been able to develop.
No, and
that. I mean, look at all these things, and he's freezing Jack.
And right there, Jack went outside the lead leg. He went outside the lead leg. Islam recognized it and he backed up.
And even 2 fights.
Right now he's southpaw versus southpaw.
Dustin Poirier fight Islam and get.
Yep. Now he's back to orthodox. Then he just went boom. Then he shoots. He's trying to go for that wrestling grab. He moves away from him, takes him down, laces the legs.
Islam's pound for pound #1. He's moving up. He beat JDM. He's the 170 pound champ. I don't know. I think Ian's going to do a really, really good job at frustrating. I don't know if he's going to be able to frustrate Islam. He's so mentally tough. So he's been through these 25-minute fights. But I do think there's going to be a point where he's frustrating Islam. He's popping him with the jab, and he's moving. He's circling. He's not engaging. He's hitting him with it. The crowd's booing. They're staying up till 5 a.m. to watch him. And he's punching and moving. But he's doing what he has to do. That's the thing. If he doesn't do that, he might, he loses percentages to win the fight. So I do think it's going to be a little bit of a punch move. Don't engage too much. I think he's going to wrestle really well. I think he's going to not get his back pushed up against the fence. I think he's going to circle, find the center, shut down a couple takedowns. And people are sleeping on Islam striking. Islam striking is clean, especially when he fought Dustin Poirier. But that was southpaw. On southpaw, he was slipped 2-3. He was looking super, super sharp. He head kicked Volkanovski. Volkanovski's 5'6". Ian Garry's 6'3". I don't think we're going to see any Islam head kicks to Ian Garry. With that all said, he is vegan, so I'm wondering, I don't know. Part of me thinks that Islam could just grab a hold of him and snap him in half like a fucking zucchini. But I don't know. Final prediction, I think Ian Garry's going to win a decision. I don't think it's going to be the most exciting fight ever. I think there's going to be some good back and forths, but I do think Ian Garry's going to get the job done.
I don't think this is going to be as competitive as everybody else thinks. I don't think it's going to be as competitive as everybody else thinks. A 7.940. What are the odds that even if he loses, Ian Garry fucks Islam's leg up with the kicks like he did on Shavkat? I don't know. That is probably the only place where I see the competitive kind of... This fight could be competitive if there's a way Ian Garry, he is 6'3", could keep this fight at range. But if he can't, I think Islam's a better wrestler, better grappler. Wade, how are your fans hella liberal, even though you mainly have a UFC audience that tend not to be liberal? Dude, my audience is not necessarily a UFC audience. My audience is a YouTuber audience. So between both of my channels, my comment sections are libbed the fuck up, dude. Libbed the fuck up. It's crazy. Loud minority, maybe. But, yeah. The only thing I can see is Ian, someone said it, kicking the legs, keeping Islam at bay, not letting him, not letting Islam take over. Not letting Islam overrun him and overwhelm him. Not letting Islam set up a nuke.
Now for the knockout or the takedown defense, then when? Like, this is your shot. And so if he is so overwhelmed in the grappling and the wrestling, as a fan, I'd be like, all right, I mean, there really are levels to this because, now's your fucking shot and it may not come again.
Yeah, I think that his big problem, and I think the big question mark for everybody is the wrestling. I think that is the longest to learn, the longest to master, the hardest thing I think to deal with. As we were talking about with the Gamrot thing, there's just not a whole lot of people, no matter how skilled you are, that want to face a wrestler that can hold you down. And it's not even that simple with Makhachev because, yeah, he can hold you down. He can beat you up with ground and pound. He can finish you there with ground and pound. He can finish you with submissions. He can rinse, wash, repeat over the course of 5 rounds and just do that same thing over and over again. He has all the experience in the world. So this is still an extremely difficult fight for Ian Machado Garry. No question about it. But I agree. I mean, he's been building towards this moment. And if he is to pull this off, it would be spectacular. It really would, because Islam really is the #1 pound for pound fighter. I think there's no doubt at this point. And yeah, in some ways it's nice in that I don't think there's a whole lot of pressure on Garry in this spot because of how good Machado.
As fight night nears, anticipation for this bout has surged. The question on everyone's mind is whether Ian Machado Garry can pull off an upset and finally defeat the dominant champion, Islam Makhachev. But Islam Makhachev has consistently proven how difficult it is to overcome him. The stage is set, tension is mounting, and the ultimate question remains: Can Ian Machado Garry succeed where so many others have failed?
Islam coming up in weight, the pound for pound best fighter in the world, joining that weight class. It's such a loaded, deadly division now that it went from the lows to I think it's probably the most dangerous division at this point. I mean, I know a lot of people say 55 is always going to be in that conversation. I know a lot of people like to speak about featherweight and bantamweight as well. Those are all in the conversation, but welterweight made a big comeback in the last year.
Yeah, it goes in ebbs and flows, right? But I really feel like right now the most stacked division right now is 170. So if you can take Islam, who was the champ and defended the title multiple times in at the lightweight division, and it was obviously the guys that he had to beat. He beats Dustin Poirier, and he's beat some other guys in that division, but he beat legends in that division. Now he's at 170, which to me is the younger, hungrier fighters. As he's getting older, he was willing to take that chance. That says a lot about him as a fighter and where you could probably put him in that pound for pound or the GOAT conversation.
And for people like me, this is what I needed to see out of him. I know you've always kind of held him very high, and I did too, but I was also, we've had these conversations about Islam before. I always had those question marks, and not everybody's going to see things the same way, but there are people that saw it like me, where they go, yeah, he's got title defenses, but, he was fighting Volk twice. He fought some last minute replacements. And it's like, if they are truly the best, I want to see him against those guys. Now he's in a division. Look, if the welterweight division was...
He's testy. That being said, that mother trucker can fight. And if anyone's going to beat Islam in 3 rounds, it's probably going to be Ian Garry. And if Ian Garry doesn't get done, Islam's going to be your champ for a very long time. Very long time. There's nobody else that can really give him the sort of test that he needs. Ian Garry matches up pretty well. Now, he's still a big underdog for a reason, but I'm just saying, as far as stylistically, again, a guy that's not going to commit to huge combinations, stays on the outside, frustrates Islam, and has a significant advantage in the striking department, it could get a little weird for Islam. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because, again, he's not worried about flying in there and knocking his head off. He's very cool staying at distance, using his footwork, lining him up, picking him apart, defending takedowns, circling out, picking him apart, and you get 25 minutes of that. So it's going to be interesting. It's by far the most interesting matchup for Islam. Most exciting, completely different conversation. This is not it depends what you're into. If you're into strategic, high-level fighting, not big finishes, this is for us. And I enjoy it. This is for us. But if you want some crazy finish, some flying knee, some back and forth brawl, bloody, this ain't it. This is not it. Islam said he gets it done under 3. We'll see.
For Garry, he's a pretty, I'm much more interested in the fact that he is a pretty smart fighter than that he's a big fighter. That he usually is pretty well aware of the sort of tactical idiosyncrasies that his opponents have and has a game plan for them. Now, they don't always work, but he is at least usually aware of okay, here he wants to get to spot A, B, and C. Here's how I can minimize that and then sort of win in the margins. In a micro sense, I'm interested to see how that plays out. In a macro sense, I just don't know if winning on the margins is how you beat Islam Makhachev. And so that's I am fascinated by this because I think there will be full-blown phases of this fight where Garry is winning, where Garry, Makhachev has a single against the fence and he can't get any of his trip series going because Garry has clearly scoped out he wants to go from here to here to here, and I'm going to just stop that train before it gets up to speed. But then how does he win the fight outside of making Islam's life harder? I have much bigger questions. And so I think Garry might win many battles and still ultimately lose the war because he's not dealing with enough firepower to win in a big way. And I kind of think that might be a necessity.
Trying to keep a straight face because I think Ian Garry has a chance in this fight.
You're wrong.
And he can't believe it.
You're absolutely wrong. All right. Carry on.
Do something about it. Yeah. Slap the nose off him, yeah?
Dude, right, well, you say that because Ian Garry thinks he's a little Conor McGregor when he's the exact opposite. Ian Garry is I'm holding back words right now about what I want to call Ian Garry to keep this family friendly. But you know what I'm about to say. You know exactly what I'm trying to say. He sits in a chair in the corner. All right, I'm gonna leave it right there.
Yeah. Straight from the mouth of Colby Covington.
Yeah.
Pause. Anyways, well, we're breaking down UFC 330, and let me make my case. All right, and to be fair, I do think Islam will win this fight, but I don't think it's going to be as dominant as it was against.
You think he's
JDM,
overrated?
for example.
And this for the odds for him, you think he's overrated, maybe per se, or Ian Gary's underrated?
I don't think Islam is overrated. I actually think the odds are fairly accurate, right? Islam's a minus 340 favorite, but I don't think he should be any higher than that. That's about as high as I think he should be as a favorite in this fight. Ian Garry, I have always felt was maybe one of the most underrated fighters on the roster. Right? What? You're making a monkey face.
Right, you're wrong. Who is he? Tom Aspinall believes Islam Makhachev may face a formidable challenge when he steps into the octagon with Ian Machado Garry. Aspinall notes that several aspects of Gary's fighting style will make him a tough opponent to crack, including his height, reach, movement, distance control, and striking ability. Additionally, Gary's youth and lack of wear and tear from injuries could give him an edge. However, Aspinall cautions that one element is nearly impossible to assess: the power of Islam Makhachev. While it's possible to evaluate a fighter's techniques and speed on screen, Aspinall suggests that a fighter's true power can only be fully understood when faced in the ring.
Do you know what? I think this is going to be Islam's toughest fight that we've seen recently. I think that stylistically, Ian Garry is a pretty bad matchup for him, to be honest. He's long, rangy, moves really well. You don't often see him getting taken down and held there. Super tall, super elusive, elite striking, judges the distance really well. He's young, he's fresh, he's not had loads of damage or anything like that. He's not got a lot of miles on the clock. But then we're talking about Islam Makhachev, mate. In my opinion, pound for pound number one, or in the argument at the minute for that. Once he gets hold of you, you're done. He's got that left head kick. People are saying, there's reports across the board, that he's the strongest person that people have ever fought. Apparently he's so physically strong, which is something that you can't see on TV.
What, just from a wrestling perspective?
Yeah, I think that's something that you can't really see. I mean, when you watch an opponent, right, you can always see the speed that they move, the techniques that they're using, the game plans and all that kind of stuff. What you can't see is how strong somebody is physically.
While Tom Aspinall views Ian Machado Garry's fighting style as a significant hurdle for Islam Makhachev, Garry himself believes there's another key reason this matchup shouldn't be taken lightly. For Garry, it's about the caliber of opponents he's faced in the past. He's hesitant to draw comparisons between fighters, as each one presents a unique challenge. However, Garry is confident that his recent career accomplishments speak for themselves. He cites notable opponents like Belal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Carlos Prates, and Michael Page, each of whom posed distinct difficulties.
I don't like to compare Islam to other fighters because I think everybody's different. Everybody presents different challenges, different problems. Every opponent. For example, I think. But if you look at the people we've fought, so if you look at my last 5 opponents versus Islam's last 5 opponents, in my opinion, it's not a discussion who's more difficult. When you look at who I've fought, Belal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Carlos Prates, MVP, those 4 are 4 of the trickiest fighters on the planet. All of them present real danger.
Ian Machado Garry elaborates on his statement, noting that his past opponents were not only skilled, but also larger and had a significant reach advantage over him. While he acknowledges the impressive resumes of Islam Makhachev's recent opponents, including legends like Dustin Poirier and Alexander Volkanovski, Garry believes his own opponents posed a greater threat. He cites the example of Shavkat Rakhmonov, who boasts an undefeated record and a knack for finishing fights, as well as Carlos Prates, known for his formidable knockout power. Garry is confident that the challenges he has overcome have adequately prepared him for his upcoming bout against Islam Makhachev.
When you look at JDM, Renato Moicano, Dustin Poirier, and the other fourth one, I think, was Volkanovski, if I'm correct.
I believe so, yeah.
As much as Volkanovski is a legend of the sport and Dustin Poirier is a legend of the sport, they're not as dangerous as the guys I've just mentioned. Not only that, every single one of them is bigger, longer. Shavkat was 18-0 and 18 finishes when I fought him. He had like 10 knockouts and 8 submissions. Carlos Prates had an 11-fight win streak by knockouts when I fought him. I've been fighting the highest level of MMA fights against the toughest opponents. When I step into this octagon against Islam Makhachev, I'm going to prove to the world why Ian Machado is truly great.
Ian Machado Garry understands that facing a champion like Islam Makhachev requires more than just surviving the match and hoping for a narrow victory. Normally, his fighting style involves controlling space, creating angles, and forcing opponents to chase him. However, Garry recognizes that he'll need to take risks in this bout. He believes that any title challenger should be prepared to do so, as simply surviving a fight is not enough. To dethrone Islam Makhachev, Garry knows he must fight with determination and be willing to take chances to win the title.
Risk taking, Ian. I mean, you're capable of fighting in different ways. You know, you've switched up your style against different opponents. I mean, I think you at your best is when you're kind of playing a cat and mouse game and when you're maintaining that range that you want. I feel like a guy number 1 pound for pound, a champion like Islam, you're going to have to go in there and really take it from him. And it's like how do you view, I guess, aggression and risk in this fight?
I think, but what you're saying there, I think that's how every challenger has to go into a fight against the champion. You can't just scrape a win against the champion because it's hard being the champion of the world.
According to Ian Machado Garry, taking on a superior champion like Islam Makhachev isn't merely about winning rounds. It's about unequivocally demonstrating who the superior fighter truly is. He emphasizes that this approach doesn't involve reckless fighting, but rather making efficient decisions to maximize damage while simultaneously ensuring self-protection. Garry asserts that stepping into the cage with Islam Makhachev is the biggest risk any athlete could ever take. This conviction drives his desire to be efficient and dangerous against his formidable opponent.
It's hard being the guy that everybody is trying to beat, everybody is preparing for. You can't just walk in there and marginally win. In my mind, you have to go in there and make it absolutely abundantly clear that you won that fight. That's my opinion. For me, it's being efficient. It's not about risk taking, it's about efficiency. It's about making the right calculated decisions to cause the most damage and remain safe. Risks are, the risk is entering in the octagon. Do you know what I mean? We're both of us are two of the greatest fighters walking this planet right now. We both know what we can do to each other. Long-term health-wise, instant health-wise in that octagon. Do you know what I mean? I've broken many people's noses, faces, ribs.
Ian Machado Garry is taking a calculated approach as he prepares to face Islam Makhachev, but Hardy believes the champion's ability to cause trouble in all aspects of the fight poses a significant threat. Ian Machado Garry has always dreamed of becoming champion and has worked to improve his groundwork while training in Brazil. However, Hardy questions whether this preparation will be enough to handle the pressure that Makhachev can apply thanks to his wrestling and grappling skills. Hardy thinks that Makhachev has the tools to pose a problem for Garry at any point in the fight, and that only Garry's experience training in Dagestan will provide him with the necessary edge to counter the champion's
Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado Garry. What do you make of that matchup?
That's a great fight. Look, it's a great fight. Ian Garry for a long time has been saying that, you know, he is the future. Obviously, it's his nickname. Like, he sees himself as being there with the belt. He's visualized it, but now he's got Makhachev in the division. And I mean, Makhachev's got the kryptonite for every single person in the division. No matter where the fight goes, he's got the skills to challenge you and to cause you issues. Like, of course, since Ian Garry's, you know, been spending time in Brazil, been working on his jiu-jitsu, he's going to be far more confident in his ground game. But at the same time, like, I don't know if you're going to be able to replicate what Islam Makhachev can do to you. I think you would have to be in the wrestling room in Dagestan to really feel that kind of pressure. And what you got to remember is, like, that room right now, we keep signing a bunch of guys from Khabib's team. They're all like cookie cutter versions of each other. They're all lethal. They've all got great wrestling.
According to Hardy, Islam Makhachev's training setup, which features elite grappling, pressure, and striking, makes him an incredibly difficult opponent to prepare for. Hardy believes that given Islam Makhachev's position at the pinnacle of such a system, Ian Machado Garry might struggle to find anyone who can effectively emulate Makhachev's style for sparring. He also notes that Islam Makhachev appears exceptionally formidable at welterweight. Despite Ian Machado Garry's proficiency in striking and distance management, Hardy suggests he would be unable to control or outmaneuver Islam Makhachev for 5 full rounds.
They've all got that pressure style with good punching and kicking now. You know what I mean? Like there's a really elite level in that gym. And Makhachev's at the top of that pile. Like everybody in that gym is working towards where he is, and everybody in that gym's a killer. Like I just don't know if you're going to be able to find the same kind of look that you're going to need to be able to deal with Makhachev. And I think now he's moved up to welterweight. I just think he looks physically so much healthier and stronger. You know, Ian Garry's a slick striker, but he needs to damage Makhachev. He can't play the 25 minutes of picking and poking because
Wade Plemons believes Ian Machado Garry faces a tough test, seeing opportunities for him only if the fight remains standing. However, Plemons notes that Islam Makhachev is a formidable force in the welterweight division, citing his exceptional wrestling and grappling skills as a significant advantage. He even suggests that Islam may be able to secure a submission early in the bout. Although Garry has shown decent defensive wrestling and scrambling abilities, Plemons acknowledges that Islam consistently rises to the challenge against top-tier opponents.
So it's not like, you know, there's not opportunities there for Ian Garry, especially if it becomes a striking matchup. There's positions there for him to win, but I just think Islam at 70 is a different animal. His strength is there. I think he's a better grappler than Shavkat is. I could see Islam submitting him early. I really could see him submitting him early. Not maybe first round, but late first into second. I could see that happening, dude. I could see that happening. And one of those like, oh shit, wow, he made that look way easier than we thought type of moments. And Ian Garry has good grappling defense. I'm not here to say he doesn't. Like, he's got good scrambles. He gets to his feet. He kind of showed that in the Shavkat fight. But I don't know. The way that Islam looked and how how he's made some, it's almost like, I don't know, the way Islam fights, he almost like rises to competition.
Georges St. Pierre views the potential matchup as a fascinating clash between two distinct skill sets, with both Islam Makhachev and Ian Machado Garry possessing clear paths to victory. St. Pierre sees Garry as a dangerous, technically gifted striker who could create serious problems if he maintains distance and keeps the fight standing. However, St. Pierre believes Islam Makhachev's greatest advantage will come from his world-class grappling and ability to dictate where the fight takes place. If the champion can consistently drag Garry into his wrestling game, St. Pierre expects him to have the upper hand. But if Garry can deny the takedowns and force a prolonged striking battle, the challenger could turn the fight in his favor and pull off a major upset.
Welterweight is so freaking good right now. There's so many good guys. Do you think Ian is a good choice to test Islam, who will be going for his 17th straight UFC win, trying to break Anderson Silva's record, which he's currently tied with?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's wow. I think it's gonna be a good fight. Ian Garry, it's definitely a tough opponent, very good striker. But Islam once again, his goal gonna be to bring the fight to the ground, and I think if he's able to do that, he's gonna have an edge. If Ian Garry is able to keep it on the feet, and Ian gonna have an
Georges St. Pierre envisions a clear path for Ian Machado Garry if he can keep the fight standing. However, Sean Brady holds a different view, believing Islam Makhachev will ultimately have too many answers for the challenger. Brady acknowledges that Garry's height could pose early challenges, especially as he would be one of the taller opponents Islam has faced. Yet, Brady questions whether Garry possesses the physical strength or knockout power required to consistently keep the champion at range. He also points out that Garry's reach is not unusually long for his height, potentially making it easier for Islam to close the distance. As the fight progresses, Brady anticipates Makhachev dominating the grappling and securing a submission victory.
Well, let's talk about Islam and Garry. That's your division. What do you make of that fight and how you think that one plays out? You know, the interesting thing about that fight, because I kind of looked it up and I think this is kind of common knowledge, but Gary's going to be like the biggest opponent he's fought as far as like the height and reach. So I do wonder if Garry can kind of keep him on the outside or stuff those takedowns. What do you make of the main event?
Yeah, I don't know, because Garry is tall, he's long, but he's not like a Morales where he's like big and strong as well. Like Ian's not putting guys out with one shot. He doesn't really have that capability. So I don't think it's going to be too hard for Islam to get him down. Like, yeah, Ian's definitely long, but Ian's tall, but his reach is only 74 inches. So it's not like he has a
like a crazy reach. Yeah.
Where it'd be a lot harder to get past his arms. I just think it's one-way traffic for Islam.
Some analysts predict Islam Makhachev will take Ian Garry down and secure a finish. However, Daniel Cormier sees a potential problem in Garry's mindset heading into the fight. Cormier believes Garry may be putting unnecessary pressure on himself by becoming overly focused on the exact method he wants to use to defeat Islam Makhachev. After Garry publicly stated his aim for a 4th-round knockout, hoping to prevent anyone from dismissing his victory as a fluke, Cormier questioned the wisdom of such an approach against the pound-for-pound elite. In Cormier's view, Garry should not become obsessed with a particular finish or time frame. The priority, he stressed, should simply be finding a way to win, because defeating someone like Islam Makhachev would be an enormous accomplishment, regardless of how the victory comes. Daniel Cormier said, "A person is misguided in their thoughts, and when they're misguided in their thoughts, they set themselves up for a very, very bad night or a bad result." I'm not saying Ian Garry cannot beat Islam Makhachev. What I'm saying is, you gotta take that as it comes. You can't try to say, I want to beat the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world in a certain round because I don't want it to be a fluke. If you win, it does not matter how you win. It does not matter how you win. Moreover, Colby Covington believes Ian Garry has a legitimate route to upsetting Islam Makhachev, citing Garry's size, reach, and striking ability. Covington also questioned whether Islam Makhachev still maintains the same level of motivation after missing out on several major opportunities. However, Covington made it clear that Garry could find himself in serious trouble if Islam Makhachev manages to establish his wrestling and keep the fight on the ground. For Covington, the biggest uncertainty lies in Garry's grappling. While the challenger has made improvements in his wrestling and jiu-jitsu, Covington remains unconvinced those upgrades will be sufficient to withstand Islam Makhachev's relentless pressure and control should the champion get his hands on him.
Hey, by the way, before I wrap it up, just back to the UFC for a second. In your old division, or in your division of welterweight, Islam Makhachev takes on Ian Garry, right? I just want to know, from your perspective, do you think Ian Garry's got a shot here to win the belt?
Yeah, definitely. He has a shot for sure. You know, even though he's a cuck and he sits in the corner of the room and watches his wife get dogged out by the nutritionist, he still has a shot. You know, there's no doubt about it. He's a long, lanky fighter. Islam's getting a little older. Who knows Islam's motivation anymore? You know, he wanted that big money matchup with Ilya, and now that matchup is gone and destroyed forever. So that matchup will never happen. So we just got to see what his motivation level is, you know, and you know, he's going to be a lot smaller than Ian. So I mean, I think he inflicts his will, and you know, he takes him down and makes it a boring fight. But you know, definitely Ian can win. He has paths to victory on the feet, but we'll have to see what type of evolution he has in his.
Kenny Okoye is backing Islam Makhachev to secure a submission victory, citing concerns over Ian Machado Garry's grappling abilities. Okoye anticipates Garry will initially use his unorthodox movement and attacks to keep Makhachev at bay, but believes the champion will swiftly adapt, leveraging his exceptional fight IQ to close the distance, take Garry down, and ultimately finish the fight on the ground.
My prediction for who's going to win the fight, I think Islam by sub. I think that's gonna be what happens. I think Islam by sub or points if like the stalling happens, but I really see Islam finishing Ian Garry before the end of it. I think Garry will start well with the stomps. He's gonna use his distance well, dictate most things. Islam Makhachev's gonna have like a, hopefully not too long, because I think he's gonna have an adjustment period in this fight. I will say the adjustment period bleeds into the third round. That's where gray area starts to come. I'm hoping he adjusts this very well. Like I'm talking about like first 2-3 minutes. He's going to have to adjust to that stomping and that running. He's going to have to find out how to track him down. And I think he will. And I believe he will. Because like I said, his fight IQ, his game planning is usually top notch. You know, I said eventually Islam gets him down. That's what.
As we look ahead to this highly anticipated matchup, the question on everyone's mind is, who will emerge victorious? The outcome is far from certain, and opinions are sure to be divided.